Nerve damage isn't always permanent. Here's when it can heal. They told you it was permanent, that once the tingling starts, once your feet go numb, once the stabbing pain turns into silence, there's no going back. You've probably heard it from your doctor, your specialist, even your own research. Nerve damage doesn't heal. But here's the part no one talks about. Sometimes it does, but only under very specific conditions, the kind most people miss. And by the time they find out, it's already too late. This video is not about hope for the sake of hope. It's about biology, timelines, and the silent signs that tell you there's still something left to save. No gimmicks, no miracle pills, just the real science of when nerves regenerate and when they don't. And if you've been living with diabetes for 10, 15, even 20 years, this might be the first honest conversation you've heard about what your nerves can and cannot do. Stay with me until the end, because if your nerves are still listening, this might be your last best chance to help them respond. Number 1, not all nerve damage is the same. You might have heard the phrase, once a nerve is damaged, it's gone for good. But that's not always true. See, not all nerve damage is created equal. Just like a sprained ankle isn't the same as a broken leg, your nerves can suffer different types of injuries, and each one has its own odds of healing. So today we're going to break it down into 3 levels. Think of them like 3 stages of damage, from recoverable to partly fixable to irreversible. Level 1, reversible nerve damage. This is the best case scenario. Here the nerves themselves are intact, but they've been affected by something external. Maybe it's inflammation, like a pinched nerve in your back, or pressure from bad posture, tight shoes, or even fluid buildup, or reduced blood flow, like in diabetes, when tiny vessels around the nerve get blocked. In this stage, the nerve is like a garden hose that's been kinked. The hose isn't broken, it's just compressed. And once you remove the pressure, the flow can return. In real medical terms, this might be neuropraxia, the mildest form of nerve injury. And here's the good news. With the right treatment, better blood sugar control, physical therapy, anti-inflammatory support, these nerves can recover completely. Level 2, partially reversible damage. Now this one's more complicated. At this point, the nerve's inner wiring, what we call the axon, has started to break down. Not completely, but enough to disrupt the signal. And often, the myelin sheath, the insulation that wraps around nerves, gets damaged too. Here's an analogy. Imagine an electrical cable. The wire inside is frayed and the plastic coating is peeling off. It still works, kind of. But the signal is weak and unreliable. That's slow. And yes, there are ways to support recovery, but we'll get to that later. First, you need to know when your body is still capable of healing, and when it's not. Level 3, irreversible damage. This is the part no one wants to hear, but you deserve to know. In this stage, the nerve has been injured beyond repair. We're talking about complete axonal loss, when the entire nerve fiber has degenerated. The wiring is gone, the insulation is gone, there's nothing left to conduct a signal. This often happens after years of uncontrolled blood sugar, chronic inflammation, or repeated trauma. Let me put it this way. The nerve may still exist as a structure, but the signal has nowhere to go. It's like a dead phone line. The cable's still hanging on the pole, but there's no electricity running through it anymore. I'm curious, which level do you think you might fall into? If you've had nerve issues, feel free to leave a comment below. I read everyone. Can anything be done here? Well, no, not in terms of regeneration. But what we can do is protect the remaining nerves, improve functional compensation, and most importantly, prevent further loss. And sometimes that's enough to restore independence. Even if you can't bring sensation back, you can often improve balance, muscle control, and quality of life. Not all nerve damage is a death sentence, but not all of it heals either. The sooner you know which category you're in, the better chance you have to act while there's still something left to save. In the next section, we'll talk about timing, the when part of the equation, because nerves don't just heal randomly, they have a window, and most people miss it. Number 2, the window of recovery. Timing matters. So here's the part most people never hear from their doctor. Nerve damage has a clock. It's not like a broken bone that heals in a predictable way over time. Nerves don't follow the same rules. They regenerate, slowly, inconsistently, and only if the conditions are right. But more importantly, they regenerate on a timeline. And once that window starts to close, your options start to shrink. The first 12 to 24 months are critical. Most meaningful recovery, the kind you can feel, happens in the first 12 to 24 months after symptoms begin. That's your golden window. This is when your nerves still have enough metabolic function, enough blood flow, and enough cellular machinery to attempt regeneration. The Schwann cells are still active. The immune system hasn't completely sealed off the area. The damage hasn't turned into scar tissue yet. If you catch it here, if you intervene properly, you still have a fighting chance. But after about 36 months, things change. Regeneration slows, the environment around the nerve becomes less supportive, and the damage that was once possibly reversible starts looking a lot more permanent. So, how do you know if your window is still open? Now that's the question that really matters. Here are 3 clinical signs that your nerves might still be salvageable. 1. You still feel pain, more than numbness. Pain is unpleasant, yes, but in nerve recovery, pain is a good sign, because pain means the nerve is still alive, still firing, still trying to communicate. Once pain fades into total numbness, that's a sign the nerve may have lost all function. 2. Your symptoms fluctuate with blood sugar levels. This one's subtle, but telling. If your tingling gets worse after meals or better when your glucose is stable, that means the nerves are still responsive to metabolic shifts. That's good. Dead nerves don't react to blood sugar at all. 3. You still have reflexes or vibration sensation. These are tests any neurologist would use in clinic. If your ankle reflex is intact, if you can still sense a tuning fork vibration on your toes, that suggests the larger myelinated fibers are still functioning. Those are the ones you want to protect, because those are the ones you still might be able to heal. If you still feel something, there may still be something left to rescue. This is the guiding principle. Nerve pain isn't just a symptom, it's a signal that there's still a spark, still a pathway trying to carry the message, even if it's distorted or incomplete. And if there's still a signal, there's still something you can work with. But time matters. So if you're in that window, 6 months, 1 year, even 18 months since symptoms began, now is the time to act. The longer you wait, the more that window closes. In the next section, we'll finally break down what actually works, not just internet rumors or supplement hype, but the real, evidence-based methods that support nerve repair. Stay with me, because this is where the path forward begins. Number 3, what actually works? Evidence-based interventions. Let's get to the part you've probably been waiting for. You've heard the promises, the miracle pills, the bold claims on supplement bottles and wellness blogs. But if you're like most people with diabetic nerve damage, what you want to know is simple. What actually works? What's been studied? What has real-world evidence, not just internet hope? So let's walk through the treatments and approaches that are backed by clinical trials, medical consensus, and decades of patient care. We'll keep it honest, we'll keep it clear. 1. Tight glycemic control. This one's the foundation, and frankly, it's non-negotiable. Every major medical body, from the American Diabetes Association, ADA, to the European Association for the Study of Diabetes, EASD, agrees. If you want to slow or stop the progression of diabetic neuropathy, you have to get your blood sugar under control. That means aiming for an HbA1c below 7.0% or lower depending on your individual risks and goals. Now that number isn't magic. It's not that 7.1% causes damage and 6.9% doesn't. But we know that lower A1C, when done safely, means less glucose toxicity, less oxidative stress, less inflammation, bathing your nerves 24 hours a day. Think of it like this. Your nerves are trying to heal in a storm. Blood sugar control is you putting up the umbrella. 2. Alpha-lipoic acid, ALA. This is one of the few supplements that actually made it past the hype. ALA is a naturally occurring antioxidant that helps protect nerve tissue from oxidative damage. In several randomized controlled trials, RCTs, high-dose ALA, usually 600 milligrams per day, has shown modest but meaningful improvements in symptoms like burning, tingling, and pain. It's not a cure, but in patients with early to moderate neuropathy, it can reduce symptoms and improve nerve conduction velocity. The key? It works best when paired with, blood sugar control. ALA is like a fire extinguisher. but if the fire's still raging, it won't do much. Benfotiamine, B1, and methylcobalamin 12. Let's talk nutrients. Not multivitamin marketing, real, functional roles. Benfotiamine, a fat-soluble form of vitamin B1, has been shown to reduce advanced glycation end products, AGEs, those toxic sugar protein clumps that damage nerves over time. Meanwhile, methylcobalamin, the bioactive form of vitamin B12, is essential for maintaining and rebuilding the myelin sheath, that insulating layer around nerves we talked about earlier. These are often low in people with diabetes, especially older adults or those on metformin, which can reduce B12 absorption. And yes, there's research to support their use. Several studies have shown improved nerve conduction, reduced symptoms, and even better quality of life scores with targeted supplementation. Just be careful not to self-diagnose or megadose. These work best under guidance. 4. Exercise and balance training. It's not just about pills. Movement is medicine, especially when it comes to nerves. We now know that consistent, low-impact exercise can enhance neuroplasticity, the brain and nervous system's ability to rewire and adapt. It also boosts blood flow to the nerves, reduces inflammation, and improves muscle coordination and balance, which are often compromised in neuropathy. What kind of movement? Walking, with proper footwear and support. Balance training, like standing on one leg or using a balance board. Resistance training, even light weights to stimulate muscle-nerve connection. Think of exercise as your daily reconnection therapy. Every step, every stretch, it sends a message down the line. We still need this nerve. Keep it alive. 5. Emerging therapies, neuromodulation and PEMF. Let's peek into the future. Some newer interventions are showing promise, but are still considered experimental at this stage. Neuromodulation, using electrical stimulation to retrain nerve pathways, has been studied in small clinical trials with encouraging results, especially for pain reduction and sensory retraining. Likewise, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, EMF, is being explored as a non-invasive way to stimulate cellular repair. Early studies suggest potential in nerve regeneration, but we need larger, longer trials to confirm. Has anything here actually helped you? Even just a little? Let me know in the comments. Your story might help someone else figure out where to start. These aren't ready for prime time, but they're worth watching, especially if your symptoms don't respond to conventional care. You don't need 15 supplements or a miracle clinic in Switzerland. You need the right interventions, done consistently and in time. The body can heal, even nerves, but only if you give it the right environment to do so. And that starts not with hope, but with evidence. In the next section, we'll talk honestly about what results you can actually expect, how long it takes, how much improvement is realistic, and what the numbers actually say. Because you deserve clear expectations, not empty promises. Number 4, realistic expectations. How much healing is possible? Let's be honest. You're not here for false hope. You're here to understand what's truly possible. Because the internet is full of two extremes. One side says it's permanent, deal with it. The other says, take this pill and you'll be cured in 10 days. Neither is telling you the whole story. So here it is, straight from the data. What the research shows. When patients follow a consistent, evidence-based approach, tight blood sugar control, targeted nutrients, movement, and support, about 30 to 40% experience measurable improvement in their symptoms. That could mean less burning or tingling, better balance, improved sleep, more confidence walking or driving again. Now, is that a full reversal? No. Complete recovery is rare, especially if the damage is long-standing. But functional improvement, enough to change your day-to-day life, is realistic. And sometimes stopping progression is just as valuable as reversing it. Think of it like slowing a leak. You may not undo the damage already done, but you can stop the floor from flooding. What kind of timeline are we talking about? Here's what we see in practice and in the research. At around 6 to 8 weeks, some patients begin noticing subtle changes, maybe reduced pain at night or better foot sensation on certain surfaces. By 3 to 6 months, these improvements become more noticeable if the plan is consistent. After 6 to 12 months, most people reach a plateau, where progress level's off. That's not failure. That's biology. At this point, the focus shifts from recovery to maintenance. Keeping what you've gained and protecting the nerves that are still healthy. Think of it like gardening. You can't force a plant to grow faster, but you can create the best conditions for healing, and then you protect the ground you've recovered. You may not go back to the way you were, but you can stop it from getting worse. You can stabilize, you can adapt, and in many cases, you can reclaim parts of your life that felt lost. You don't need a miracle, you need a plan and the patience to let it work. In the next section, I want to show you exactly what that looks like through the story of one patient who didn't get better overnight, but still got his life back, one step at a time. Because when you see it in real life, this all stops being theory. Number 5. One case that changed my perspective. Let me tell you about Mark. He was 63 when he first came into the clinic. Type 2 diabetes for 18 years, a career truck driver, tough, quiet, one of those guys who never complains until he absolutely has to. He didn't come in because of pain. He came in because he stopped feeling anything. He told me I didn't notice my sandal had come off until I saw it in the rearview mirror. We ran some tests. He had no vibration sense in either foot. Reflexes were down. But, and this is what caught my attention, he still had pain, still had warmth sensation. That meant there was still a signal, still a window. So we got to work. His plan wasn't flashy, but it was consistent. We started by tightening his insulin regimen. Nothing dramatic, just cleaner timing, closer glucose targets. HbA1c dropped from 8.4 to 6.9 in 4 months. He added alpha-lipoic acid and benfotiamine with medical supervision. No megadoses, just steady therapeutic levels. Then came the hard part, movement. Mark committed to a progressive walking program, even when his feet felt like pins and needles. He started with 5 minutes, then 8, then 10, twice a day. Over 6 months, he worked up to 3 miles a day. No gym, no fancy gear, just persistence and a notepad on the fridge to track every single walk. The results? Was it a miracle? No. His sensation didn't come back completely. His nerves didn't magically regenerate overnight. But now he walks 3 miles every morning, drives without fear, sleeps through the night without burning pain, and, most importantly, he stopped getting worse. That's the part people underestimate. Sometimes the biggest victory isn't reversal, it's stabilization. Mark isn't special. He didn't have better genes, better doctors, or better luck. He just had timing, discipline, and a plan he stuck to. And seeing his progress, quiet, steady, hard-earned, reminded me why these conversations matter. Because when you understand the science, when you act before the window closes, when you stop chasing magic and start building routine, you give your nerves a fighting chance. I think we all know someone like Mark. If his story reminded you of someone, even yourself, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a line below if you're comfortable. In the final section, we're going to talk about how to recognize when that chance has passed the red flags of irreversible damage and how to protect what remains. Because sometimes the wisest choice is learning where the line is and defending everything you still have on your side of it. Number 6, the red flags of no return. By now we've talked about what can heal and when. But there's something just as important to understand. When healing is no longer the goal. Because if you chase regeneration where it's no longer possible, you lose time, and you risk the nerves that are still working. So here are the red flags, the signs that a nerve may be beyond recovery. 1. Total anesthesia. If you've lost all sensation in an area, no heat, no cold, no pressure, no pain, and it's been that way for years, it's a strong signal that the nerve has shut down completely. 2. Foot deformities, Charcot foot. When the protective sense of pressure and position is gone, the structure of the foot can collapse. The arch caves in. Bones shift without pain. This is called Charcot foot, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a marker of deep, long-term neuropathy. 3. Ulcers without pain. If you've developed open sores and didn't notice them until someone else pointed them out, that's not just dangerous. It means the nerves that should have screamed for help are gone. 4. Absent reflexes and vibration loss. If your ankle reflex is gone, if you can't feel a tuning fork on your foot or shin, that suggests the large fiber nerves are completely non-functional. These are late-stage signs, and once they've set in for years, reversal is extremely unlikely. If the nerve's gone silent and stayed that way for years, you need to focus on protection, not recovery. That means offloading pressure, preventing infections, strengthening what muscle and balance you still have, and seeing a foot care specialist regularly. Because the goal now is preservation, and there's deep wisdom and dignity in that. You can't turn back time. You can't undo years of damage overnight, but you can decide how this chapter ends. Because the nerves you still have? They're listening. They're waiting for signs of life, signals from movement, from oxygen, from nutrients, from consistency. Signals that say, I'm still here, don't shut down yet. And whether your window is wide open or just barely cracked, what you do today still matters. So keep moving, keep asking questions, keep showing up for your own recovery. You've made it this far, which already tells me you care about your health more than most. If anything I said today resonated with you, even just a sentence, leave a comment. It lets me know these conversations matter. If this video gave you clarity, share it with someone who still believes it's already too late. Because someone out there still has time left. They just haven't been told yet. And your share might be the message their nerves have been waiting for. Your nerves haven't given up on you. Don't give up on them.